and welcome to the daily newscast within the United Countries, special by First Ukraine. You can find us at the frequencies available at our website, firstua.com. I'm Sergei Velichansky, and thank you for joining us. The insurgents were not given a chance to make a lodgment over on the Ukrainian army territory. The terrorists had crossed the separation line, having used the destroyed bridge over a Seversky Donetsk river. They had an intention to set a checkpoint. Their intentions were interrupted by Ukrainian soldiers. At this point, the enemy is being driven out, reports the spokesperson of the Joint Command Operations Center North, Anatoly Proshin. In total, during the night, the insurgents opened fire for 17 times. Their batteries had worked permanently over in the Donetsk direction, states the ATO headquarters report. Vladimir Karaban has more about the past 24 hours on the front line.
ATO headquarters report that most firing took place near Donetsk, damaged houses, cracked windows, dead munitions. This is how part of the villages neighboring Donetsk look now. Insurgents are wandering around the town. Locals claim they've been living their way for some months now. The war been over a year. Well, we got used to it, but we shouldn't. When heavy shooting of shell fire, when rushing on the basement, which is nearby, but now live here. This is the village of Pisky. Ukrainian soldiers are attacked and shelled there daily, so it doesn't affect their morale. They wear up songs about the war. The headquarters report there were 17 attacks last night. At 8:35 p.m. the enemy put on attacks on the village of Avdiivka with artillery and mortars. Insurgents also used small weapons and armed provocations near the villages of Pisky and Opytne. Criminals delivered with fire small arms twice towards the Maryorsk and Leninsk in Artemovsk area. According to Luhansk region government Gennady Moskal, rebels attacked Troitske, Krymske, Trukhyzbenka and Stanitsa Luhanska. Yet another pseudo-Russian humanitarian convoy invaded Ukraine, this one of the 20s, with 170 trucks. Insurgents confirmed that they've taken delivery. Russian Emergency Ministry of Freight includes glass, roofing felt, food and seed grains. Ukrainian border guards claim that convoy amounted 40 petrol tankers. Volodymyr Karaban, Victoria Zabiyan, First Ukraine.
8 years in prison. That's what possibly awaits those who initiated the disorders in Konstantinivka. As Vyacheslav Abroskin, the head of Donetsk Law Enforcement Department, reports that these two men, born in 1989 and 1973, are detained in the Artemovsk pretrial detention center. That was the ruling of the Kramatorsk court yesterday. As it was previously reported that on March 16th, an airborne combat vehicle had an auto-pedestrian accident that resulted in the death of an 8-year-old girl. Unorganized meetings took place and the military dormitories' windows were trashed. An ambulance from Bukovina is now going to rescue Lugansk area residents. Volunteers from Chernivtsi have brought a reanimation ambulance car to Severodonetsk. The vehicle was purchased for the money that had been donated by the residents of Mamaevka and Luzhany villages of Kitsmansky region in Chernihivsky Oblast. It is the 7th time when the Bukovina residents sent vital help to the east.
We brought food and a lot of medications which were in the car. I mean that all things that we have ordered, especially for Stanично Luhansk region, are here. We appreciate this help which is needed. We really feel that the Luhansk region is a part of Ukraine and everyone needs it. People from Luhansk region are Ukrainians, who are respected by everyone. I mean the whole Ukraine, including Bukovina.
Military reserve, joint stock company regulations, and public service broadcasting. These are some of the very important items on the Parliament agenda for today.
It is thought about the draft law where the state part is more than 51%. This draft law gives the right to return control under the state property. The law isn't to be voted for because only 6 people have come.
First shipment of American military vehicles will arrive to Ukraine at the end of March. As the press service of the Ukrainian president reports, Joseph Biden, the USA vice president, shared this info with Petro Poroshenko via the phone. Biden shared as well about the Barack Obama's decision to arrange the special boot camp for 780 Ukrainian National Guards. Poroshenko, in turn, shared with Biden about Donbass situation and the recent laws which were accepted by the Verkhovna Rada, fulfilling the Minsk agreements. The sanctions against Russia will not be softened till the Minsk agreements are fulfilled in all fullness. This was the topic of the phone conversation between Barack Obama, the President of the United States, and the German Chancellor Angela Merkel. The White House website contains this information. It states that the leaders agreed to continue to support Ukraine economically. Sanctions against Russia, macro-financial support of Ukraine, and the reforms. These were the themes of the meeting of Arseniy Yatsenyuk, the Prime Minister of Ukraine, and the President of the European Council, Donald Tusk. Yatsenyuk shared about the ways of how Kyiv is fulfilling the Minsk agreements. In particular, concerning the recently accepted laws about the special status of specific regions of Donbass. Ukraine has done and will do everything possible for peace and stability, he says. As far as the sanctions against Russia go, we can only talk about their continuation and increase. The Prime Minister is sure that Euronion is able to keep unity on this issue.
What is the success of President Putin? What is the formula of Russian stability? This is instability in the EU. And if Putin splits the unity among EU member states and among the leaders of the EU member countries, this will be the biggest success story of President Putin, and this will be the disaster for the free world.
While in Brussels, Arseniy Yatsenyuk will take part in Euro-Union summit. In addition, he has a plan to hold negotiations with the Euro Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker and the leaders of EU countries. The situation in Ukraine will be discussed after lunch as well. There will start a two-day meeting of the EU Council with the participation of the leaders of EU governments and countries. The main themes are energy union, Euro-Union economy, and the relationships between Brussels and Moscow. As the President of the EU Council, Donald Tusk, reported, it will be only in the evening when they talk about sanctions against Russia. Security Council of the United Nations will discuss the situation in Crimea, which is occupied by Russia. Lithuania is calling an informal session. Mustafa Dzhemilov, as the leader of Crimean Tatar population and the member of the Ukrainian parliament, is invited as well. The session will take place behind closed doors. The diplomats want to hear regarding human rights and mass media freedom in the peninsula. Since the members of UN are not required to be present, the Russian delegation used the right and called this session counterproductive and provocative. As a result of the assault on the museum in Tunisia, 20 of them are foreign tourists from Italy, Spain, Germany, and Colombia. Over 40 are wounded. As it was reported earlier, the unidentified people armed with machine guns penetrated the parliament building, started shooting, but they were repelled by guards. Then the criminals entered the museum and started shooting the visitors. They took them as hostages. But the police attacked the building and freed over 200 people. The president of the country promised to fight terrorism starting off today.
The attack on the Bodom Museum is a great catastrophe for our country. We must mobilize all our resources to deal with future terrorist threats. I want people of Tunisia to understand that we are fighting against terrorism. This great minority won't scare us. We will fight mercilessly against it until the last breath.
Ministry of Internal Affairs suggests people to choose the design of the cars for the future patrol service. 6 cars with different designs were exhibited at the Independence Square in Kyiv. There are several ballot boxes. Every person can put the ballot in. The cars will be there for 1 week, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Also, people can express their opinion in the internet at the official website of the ministry and on its Facebook. but the voting is only in the form of consultation, the police reports. After voting, the experts of the ministry will continue the work on design.
Experts will provide their helpful conclusions. Then standardization and certification will come, and the tender for conducting works will be announced. Well, I think those will be procurement of kits for vehicles labeling, but not specific works.
Canada is under the snowstorm for the second time for the last 3 days. More than 50 centimeters of snow have been added to all the snow which has fallen in the beginning of the week. The equipment is helpless in front of such amount of fallings. The movement of transportation is paralyzed. All governmental and educational institutions are closed. Sometimes the speed of wind reaches 60 kilometers per hour.
It's not too bad right now. I mean, the snow covers up the ice, so gives us some traction, something to walk on.
It was the United Country newscast by First Ukraine. You can find more details at our website, firstua.com. Sergei Velichansky was working for you in the studio. We wish you only good news. Take care and goodbye.
Хрещення Русі – відправна точка історії великого народу, драматизм епох та пошуків істини, сплетіння людських доль та промислу Божого. Майже 1000 років Русь ішла до світла. У першому столітті на теренах майбутньої Русі проповідував Андрій Первозванний. Слово про Христа почули Крим та Придніпров'я. Коли апостол дійшов до місця, де згодом постане Київ, він сказав: «Бачите гори ці? На цих схилах засяє благодать Божа. Буде град великий, і Бог воздвигне на них багато церков». Це було пророцтво. Але до початку його здійснення мали минути віки. До 9 століття наші предки не знали абетки. Рівноапостольні Кирил і Мефодій, які проповідували в Херсонесі та інших землях, заселених слов'янами, це становище виправили. Першими словами, написаними слов'янською мовою, були рядки Євангелія від Іоанна: «Споконвіку було слово». Ішов 863 рік. Але до хрещення наших пращурів вела не тільки книга. 866 року біля стін Константинополя на 200 човнах з'явилися нові вороги Візантії – руси на чолі з князями Аскольдом і Діром. Патріарх Фотій усю ніч молився у Влахернській церкві, де зберігалася риза Богородиці. Вранці її винесли на берег моря. І щойно риза торкнулася води, знялася буря. Майже всі кораблі русів розбилися об берег. Аскольд і Дір повернулися додому, а через деякий час прислали в Константинополь послів, прохаючи проповідника, який би розтлумачив їм християнську віру. Там, де раніше була жорстокість, народилося питання. Після проповіді русичі попросили охрестити їх. Аскольд і Дір правили слов'янами ще 15 років, а коли Київ захопив Олег, вони прийняли смерть як перші руські князі-християни. 945 року на київський престол зійшла Ольга, дружина вбитого древлянами князя Ігоря, наступника Олега. Своє князювання вона почала помстою за смерть чоловіка, і Скоростень, столиця древлян, перетворився на пепелище. Але де є гріх, там розквітає благодать. Ольга княжила за літописом не як жінка, а як розумний чоловік. Мудрість княгині не могла не дати плоду. Ще за часів Ігоря у княжій дружині були ротоборці, які сповідували Христа. Ольга не тільки не перешкоджала сповідуванню нетрадиційної для русів релігії, але й сама зацікавилася нею. Тим більше Візантія, головна держава, з якою Русь мала відносини, була християнською. 955 року води Босфору знову побачили руські кораблі.